have an idea, don't ask anybody or tell anybody. Sit down, write it down. What's the next step to get you to the first step? That's it. So my idea was, I'm going to have an event. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I rented the ballroom. I got my little flyer. I passed it all over. I called my friends. I told them about it. I got people to help me set up the venue, set up the event. I went to Whole Foods. I got some wine and water, and I waited. How difficult is that?
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Business at the Speed of Light. We've got an incredible guest today, Melitsa Waage, who I had the privilege of meeting just in the tour. We were just talking. We were just trying to figure out actually where we met, but our circles are gotten closer and closer as she is an incredible speaker, has an incredible story, and I've recently been kind of in the loop, in the mix with these guys, got to meet her. She has an incredible energy. We're going to just chop it up today and, just talk life. And she is incredible about helping, people with their own personal lives, but also, helping them with their business and getting to the next level. So thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Doctor. Appreciate you.
Of course. This is fantastic. So you are such a soulful person. Okay, and I've seen you speak, and I think, all kidding aside, and you did speak. I didn't actually see your entire speech that day, but the bit of it I saw because I was talking to your friend Dr. Hart. But the pieces of it I saw, and then subsequently having seen you, speaking and following you on social and stuff like that, you're an incredibly soulful person, and you really connect with people that you're trying to help, and ultimately, at least for most of us, at one part, we're doing this because we want to help people. Like we have a certain message, and we want to get the message out. Where does all the soul come from? Were you like this when you were 5 years old, or is this something that developed because of a life event, or is there a particular thing? What makes you you?
Well, I feel like I've always been soulful since I was a little girl. I went into the foster care system at the age of 3, and I knew I was special. I always knew I was special. I always had a big personality. And as I was getting older, I just knew that I didn't want people to feel forsaken or unloved or abandoned or like they didn't matter. And I went through a lot of that as I was growing up, feeling the abandonment issues, feeling, that I wasn't normal or didn't have the normal lifestyle, what people would consider normal, the normal family, the brothers and sisters, a beautiful house, and all that stuff, right? But as I was getting older, I just knew that I didn't want to be like my biological parents. I wasn't going to be a product of what I came from, and I wasn't going to be a victim of my circumstances. I'm a victor of my circumstances. So I just always carried that energy with me and just trusting that God would guide me.
And so, I'm glad because, sometimes people say, is it in the environment? Is it just who we are? I think some people, I think most people are intrinsically good. They have a lot of goodness. Not everybody. I heard, I just did a couple recent episodes that we heard about some horrible things that people were doing, and was mostly related to somebody being in prison and what they saw. But is there a specific, so you grew up, let's talk about it, a little bit, because people want to just get to, they want to get to know us. And I certainly have a crazy story about my upbringing and stuff like that. And it definitely shaped, who I am. So, you have a tough story, right? You have a tough upbringing. What were the worst part? What was the lowest part? What was the point you're like, I can't, this is horrible. I got to get out of this.
Well, I remember I was feeling abandoned as a child. And I remember my foster mom, she told me one day, she was like, I can't love you like I love my kids because I didn't have you. And that's something that always stayed imprinted in my spirit.
Wow.
And when I was younger, I played around with suicidal thoughts, and I tried to kill myself, taking aspirin and trying to figure out how I can hang myself.
Oh my goodness.
And I was just I was broken, and I just knew that I didn't want to stay in that family anymore. I'm not saying that they were monsters, they went to church, they taught me about God and about Christ. But I feel like people, they just do whatever best they can do with what they have, and now looking back, it had nothing to do with me. It had to do with their own personal demons,
Yes.
with their own personal, circumstances and past. And that's why I don't take things personal anymore, because people don't treat you as bad because there's a problem with you. They treat you bad, or they do something that's not in alignment with you because it's the struggle that they're having.
So, man, that's hard to swallow, being told that.
Yeah.
And, I like, there's a lot of things that I heard, growing up in a tough, I had loving parents, but being, adopted and having to do all this stuff, it was tough. And there's stuff that you think about every day. I'm sure you think about that a lot, being told that I can't love you. That's like really powerful. And how many people are told things like that every day, and they can be broken, or they can be sitting here, having, growing businesses and, and connecting people and doing all the great stuff that you're doing. So, that's just, but why, you say they didn't have the tools. Was it a situation in foster care? Cause I talk foster care adoption all day, right? I'm going to do like one of my guests, that I had recently, like during our podcast, I found out she was adopted, right?
Okay.
And you probably know her, Elizabeth, Carson. I don't know if you know her or not, but she's,
Is she the Asian girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's awesome. I've been following her stuff for a long time, so it was great that I had her on the show. And as soon as I found that out, like right away, she's like, "We got to do a show on this." And
That's
so we're gonna do a
I
show.
just saw her last week at Julio's house at an event
awesome.
in West Palm.
Awesome. Yeah, she's great. And she was awesome on the show, but we were just talking about that. So with the foster care thing, it's sad. The good news is that at least you made it through. Mm-hmm. Like you made it out and made it through. So, like, how did you get out of it?
Well, I was in search for my biological mom, even though she had been in touch with me, but I was just dying to leave the family I was with. Like, dying to the point where I would call 411 and I would start asking for celebrity names so they could come
they can come adopt.
Yes, I swear to you. I used to say you remember in school they had the public phone?
Yes, that's great. I've never heard. No, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say that before. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, so it was just to the point where it got to a point that I hated them so much that I couldn't continue.
That's a horrible place. That's a horrible place to be in.
I was like, get me out, help, So I finally got in touch with my biological mom, and I ended up like moving with her, and then things weren't going good with her, and then.
And how old were you at that time 15. When that happened? Okay, so 15. You finally got out to you reached out. Yeah. You said I got to move in with you, but then that wasn't.
So no,
great.
Then from there, it wasn't going good at home. She met who's her husband now, who's a great man. My mom and her husband are amazing. It's just at the time that wasn't working.
It wasn't the right time. It was just
what I mean?
Okay, I gotcha.
So then I just started, meeting friends in high school and started couch hopping or room hopping and stuff like that. And then I figured stuff on my own. I've been kicked out of high school. I was told by my principal that I was just another Latina statistic who would never amount to anything. I was homeless, lived out of my car outside of a Walmart parking lot for a while, but I had 3 jobs. So then I was able to save up some money to get my own apartment when I was like 18.
So you were living in your car?
Yeah, I lived in my car for a little bit. I had everything in the back. And at the time, I didn't look at it like poor me because I was always very active. I worked at PF Chains. I worked at Marriott World Center.
You had stuff to do.
Donuts.
I just lived there.
I worked at Burger King, like you name it.
Sometimes, hey, listen, Steve Harvey lived in it. There's countless stories about, right? I mean, Eric Thomas was eating out of, like garbage cans, going back and forth for abandoned buildings, but they all had some belief, in them. I mean, so obviously they went through some seriously, dark times. By that time, did you already know that you were just gonna just take the world by storm at some point?
The thing is, like, I've always figured things out ever since I was a little girl. And I'll give you an example. When I didn't have a car, right? I was like 16, 17, and I was taking the bus, the Lynx bus in Orlando, and I would fall asleep, and because I had to wake up at like 5 a.m, I would fall asleep, and the bus would pass my school and end up in Disney, right? So I started skipping school.
Going to Disney?
And I found out a way to figure out how to get into Disney for free.
That's great.
Okay? So
That's
it
smart.
gets better.
That's
so
good. Ooh, here we go.
I see like where employees go in.
Yeah.
I was like, employee, and then I started seeing how they go in, and they were just going in bunches and showing like a badge. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna try to just show my ID. So I walk in with a group, and I just show them the ID, and I just kept walking in, and I would get into Disney for free.
Which ID were you showing though?
Just my regular Florida ID. Yeah, because they weren't checking it. It was just a group, and everybody would just kind of like.
So nobody cared.
Yeah,
They just like
yeah.
just
And we're talking about 20-something years ago. You know what I mean? Obviously, security must be different.
That
now.
is the mark of a great future entrepreneur. You just figure it out. You just get in the room. Get in the room.
So anyways, so that happened. But then obviously I knew I needed a car because, I had jobs and whatever. So I didn't have anybody to co-sign for me. I was, again, winging it, doing it on my own. And I go into this bank, McCoy Federal Credit Union. I'll never forget. There was this lady that she just loved me. She was the one that opened up my first savings account. And I asked her, I said, where can I get someone to sign for me for a car or authorization? I don't have credit. I don't have anything. And she looked at me. She goes, you see that big door right there? It's open. I was like, yeah. She's like, that means the president of the bank is in there. She's like, he's the only one that can approve you. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I went to the door and I knocked, and he looked up, and he looked like a president.
The president.
Like 6'5", like Trump, right?
Yeah.
So then he's like, can I help you? And I was like, yeah, can I take a quick seat? He's like, sure. I was like, listen, I've been on my own since I was 15. This is what I'm doing. This is what I've done. This is blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I need a car. I don't have a cosigner. I don't have anybody to show up for me. Could you help me? And he goes, well, do you have a job? And I was like, yeah. And at the time, I was actually getting ready to get a big modeling gig that was going to pay me like $3,000 or something like that. And he goes, I want you to go to CarMax. And he goes, I want you to pick a car, $12,000 or less. You're gonna bring me the sticker for the car, right? They have the stickers in the car right there. Mm-hmm. So I go to CarMax, and I tell the guy, I need a car that's $12,000 or less. And he goes, well, we have this one, Subaru, Hyundai, Toyota. And as a Puerto Rican, Toyotas, we always knew it was the best, right? And I was like, I'll take that one. I was like, please hold it for me, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to bring you like a check or something like that. I took the bus back to the bank, and I gave it to the president, and he wrote me a check for the amount of the car and opened up it was like a $234 a month payment. And that's how I got my first car.
Honestly, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I just, with my previous guest, we just had the conversation about when people are in, certain places, when they get there, sometimes it feels like it's unattainable. Because you could have just said, it's the president, just leave. Like, I'm not going in there. But I'm just saying, it's like people are so generous sometimes because they can't, they can be. Right. Mm-hmm. And so they help. So obviously that helped you. And so I think that the kind of the lesson, there is that, there's always a way. Yeah. You can always find, a way, and don't be afraid to open, to knock on because you just kind of gently, knocked on the doors. I just want to go back to just a couple things. Number one, what celebrities did you call to try to get them to adopt you? Because that is phenomenal. That's awesome.
There was one that was my favorite, and it was Yolandita Monge from Puerto Rico. Do you remember her?
I don't. I'm sure my wife's Puerto Rican, so I'm sure she would be all dialed in. Did you get anybody?
Then the people in the call would be like, "Are you talking about the singer?" I'm like, yes.
Yes, get her on. Would you?
And they were like, "Oh, honey, I don't think you're gonna be able to get a hold of her. Are you sure? But look at all of the Yolandita Monges." And they were like, and I tried and tried and tried, and I can't remember what other celebrity I tried, but it was mainly her. She was like my main focus.
No, I think that's great. Like I said, I've never heard that before. Please adopt me. This is great because you know what? It's not. Even though some of these like celebrity adoptions, like it gets like a little weird, with the way that they parade their kids around.
Look at how Moses got saved.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. You just never know. It's just it's just weird. The other thing that's interesting that you said about you're just going to be another Latina casualty. It's interesting because my wife is Puerto Rican, and
that's what my principal told me.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and my wife is Puerto Rican. She was also told, I believe it was by her counselor, that you're just gonna get pregnant and be out on the street anyway. So why
Yeah.
why even bother? Like,
Yep.
why do you want to do this? And I think it was something to do with like her doing her application for college.
Wow.
And these are what they're telling her. That's great advice. That's good. Thank you. Thank you for your service and being such good, human beings. I tell you, like, all of us, it's interesting. We just get told this nonsense. It's BS. That pissed me off when you said that. I mean,
Yeah.
really, that's like, stuff. I just remember there's a school. It was called Bronx High School of Science. It was for all the smart kids, and I wanted to go there. So they knew I wanted to go. That was a good student. I had good grades. Mm-hmm. They called my parents, and just my mom came, and the teacher's like, we're just going to recommend he doesn't go there. And I was like, well, why not? And she's like, well, like, it's not going to work out. It's just like, there's all Asians there. He can't compete with them. That was it. And that was, I mean, I didn't go, but you just remember that because that's like not, like people, not believing you knew. Now I'd like to see what some of those people did compared to what I did.
Exactly.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we just let's, again, I'm not, it's not a
Exactly.
competition, but why don't we just and the most important person I want to know is the person that was saying that, which was the teacher. How are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, how's your stuff going?
Exactly.
How's your stuff going? I mean, that's terrible advice.
Yeah.
You want people to shoot for the top, not for the bottom. You got to take big shots, not, tell people. I hate that. Like, just conform, just be average, just be those
Just
things.
settle.
Just settle. I mean, that's the whole education system is built on making a bunch of people that are robots and that are slaves to the system. And then you just get all this bad advice. And it's funny because people that become successful like yourself, the people that have those stories tend to become the most successful people because then they take that and use it. I'm sure you have a chip on your shoulder from all the stuff that you said. That's huge, right? Even though obviously we try to suppress. If all day we thought about the bad stuff that people told us coming up, then we wouldn't even be able to function. However, we use it as a chip on your shoulder. So when you are now working, with your clients or giving talks or doing, whatever, how do you tell them to deal with when they get these horrible things said to them? They're just like, well, you're not smart enough. You're not the right skin color. Oh, you're a woman. Oh, you're not from the right. No one not from there, right? Like that stuff. Like how do you deal with that stuff? Is that stuff that you talk about a lot with?
So
yeah.
if somebody's asking me for advice or for feedback, I always give my bad voice a name, and his name is Frankenstein.
Okay. You're bad, but Frankenstein. We'll stay away from
Right?
Frank.
So then I acknowledge it. I'm like, I know you're there, but I'm not giving you any room right now in my life. I don't deserve it. I've worked too hard to get to where I'm at. And for me, that voice is the devil. Like, I'm a huge believer in the devil and the negativity, and also sometimes things come up on purpose to trigger us to see if we're going to become a different person or not. So I really believe it's how you talk to yourself. And I'll give you an example. A girlfriend of mine, she was going through some issues, and really the person that was coming with the problems was her. When I'm looking at the situation, I'm like, honey, this other person is doing everything right. You're being triggered because of this, and that, and this is coming from your past. So let's dive deep into why you're getting triggered. And I'm a true believer that nothing has meaning but the meaning you give it. Okay?
It's truth.
So if somebody were to cut you off and start cussing you out and whatever.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
It's probably because I'm not a great driver, they tell me. But anyway.
So it's completely up to you to react and take a gun out, right? Like some people do, right? Or you're just like, I'm not going to let this person ruin my day. So what's the meaning you're going to give it? Some people go in rage, go shoot people, go kill people. Yeah. Some people go, do something bad to a family member, right? Because it's what they're telling themselves and the story that they're telling themselves. And the reason why they're being triggered is because something that has to do with them, not with you.
No, and I mean, and ultimately the way that literally it's just like you're born, you have a bunch of perceptions, and that's your reality, and then you die. That's about it. And so the question is how you choose to observe that reality is the difference between having a very successful life. I don't mean making a lot of money. I mean just being successful at life, enjoying the day, getting up in the morning and having purpose and doing all those things. But if you interpret everything negatively and you're shooting people, I mean, that's an extreme, but if you're shooting people after, it's probably not great. You're not in a good place. But I think that mindset and how you kind of like frame everything it's like literally everything. I mean, think about it. If you had been like, oh, poor me, I'm in a foster home and and I'm shit and I'm nobody and I'm nothing, and you thought about it that way, where would you be right now?
Exactly.
You might not even be here. Right? Because you're talking about like you were having suicidal idea, like you were just, and people get in these dark places, which is why like I am so attracted to speaking to people and talking and, being around people like you that really tell their stories and speak and like it changes people's lives, this energy that we have, because we've all been in those dark places. I've been in some really dark places and it sucks. Yeah. And you hope that there's somebody like you that somebody can listen to, because a lot of people don't have that or they don't seek it and it doesn't end up so good.
Exactly. That's why I wrote my book, Detoxify Your Mind. Yeah. Because I take people from through a discovery process. It doesn't matter where you're at. This book is for everyone. It could be for a kid that's 10, 15 years old, or a spine surgeon, or a CEO, or president of a company. So what I write in this book, it's also a guidebook you can write in it, which it works even better for mental stimulation.
Way better for mental.
And and it's basically where you're at and where do you want to be. And I remember when I hit rock bottom, I ended up getting into personal development, emotional intelligence. We're talking about like 12 years ago, because I didn't know anything about this. And that's when I started learning about Lewis Howes and Tim Story and all these, big speakers at the time. And I'm like, hey, what's this? This seems cool. So I started investing in myself. So I started going to events. I started, with T. Harv Eker, one of his programs from the Millionaire Mindset, and that's what started evolving my life. And I said, if I was able to change my life, then I can inspire other people to do the same. So that's why I wrote my book, Detoxify Your Mind.
Amazing. And I think, it's helping a lot of people. I know you recently, put me on it because we don't know that stuff. We're just, cluttered with so many things, no matter where you're from. You just mentioned the whole spine surgeon thing. People think that people get to a certain area in life, right? There's billionaires out there that need more mental help than people that are on food stamps. Yeah. I mean, we just all have our stuff and we have our baggage and we have no idea what's going on through people's heads and people are just struggling. And you see that, right? Because when you give talks to people, right, there's always going to be a few people in the audience, they'll come up to you afterwards, they're crying. Yeah. Because you resonated with them because they're in a really dark place. And I see, like even going to these events, sometimes people will just go and they share some crazy stuff. They're just like, yeah, I just did that, or like, something happened to their kid, or somebody died, or something, and then they just start crying, and it's just like, being in these rooms, it can change everything. So one of the things that's happening right now is, I feel like we're losing our humanity because we're going into a different age. People are really not connecting in person. Right. This is a very different than if we had this on Zoom. Like if we're just doing on Zoom, it's just like another thing. Yeah, let's do a podcast. Now, sometimes the podcast on Zoom can be okay. I mean, I've had some great podcasts on Zoom. But like if we just had a meeting, say, hey, Melitsa, I want to talk to you. I want you to help me. I'm going through this thing with my business. It's just not the same. So this connection. So I think this world of speaking, right, which you and we'll get into the epic talks and all that stuff because it's great. I mean, like think about it. You started like small doing it, and now like you're building a whole like empire of your own, which is amazing. I love seeing this stuff. But don't you think that as we go forward, the value of these in-person coming together and connecting is even going to have more weight than it did before? Because I feel like people just they DM each other, they text. They hardly talk on the phone anymore. They don't do anything. We don't connect. Everyone, right? You're going, I'm about to go to the airport after, I'm done with this. Everyone's looking at their phone. Like no one's connecting. They're not looking at their environment. So, what do you think about that? Do you think like this human touch, like going back to analog, like where we just like talk to each other and help each other? It's not the same, just chat GPTing, what do I do because I'm in a dark place, than talking to somebody like you.
I think one of the most powerful things you could do is place yourself in rooms that are going to help you elevate your mindset and your business. You know, and if you're saying that you can't find it, then you're being lazy. You know, you can go to Eventbrite in your area. You can go to Google Meets. You can go to Facebook Meets, right? You can look up events in your city. And if they don't exist, create it. God has given you a vision, right? Oh,
I love that.
you know, and I'll give you an example. People always ask me, how did you start Epic Talks? And it was from a place of need. I wasn't finding events that were stimulating my mind. I was going to networking events, no speakers, and it was just people giving me their business cards.
Everybody's pitching.
And
They're just pitching. They're just pitching
what can I
you.
get from her?
Yeah,
What can
yeah.
I get from her? So I remember I was going over the bridge in Brickell, and God planted this seed in my mind, and he said to me, if it doesn't exist, you're going to create it. And from the moment that I had that first idea to the moment I had my first event was only 3 days. So success loves speed, right? I didn't know, and I had never spoken in my life on a stage. I've never shared my story in front of people like the way I share it now. And I remember calling a girlfriend of mine. She's she was a law professor in the University of Miami, and she's used to speaking in front of a lot of students. And so I was like, okay, let me call Alicia. And I'm like, Alicia, her name's Alicia Belchenko. I said, if I do an event, will you speak with me? I'm not used to speaking. Maybe you can help me out. And she goes like, sure. So she thought I was BSing her. So I went on Canva and I made this little flyer. And at the time I called it Epic Life Masters. So then I went to FedEx Kinko's, I printed it out, I took 100 flyers, passed them all over
awesome.
Brickell and downtown. I rented a ballroom in my building, and then I went to Whole Foods, got cheese and crackers and wine, got a whole bunch of water, and I waited. Actually, Ivan was there with me. He was waiting too. We're like waiting. And then 15 people showed up to my first event.
That's actually, to be honest with you, for a first event, that's a home run.
8 of those were my friends.
It doesn't matter. That you got to bring your friend. You have to bring your friend.
My bartender was Dr. Ivan.
Oh, it was?
You know what I mean? So like he literally saw me have my first event, and then to see what it is now. And that was the thing. Stop waiting for permission to step into your greatness. Stop waiting for permission to do something that you've been wanting to do, that's in your mind, that you feel purpose and passion about. And the problem is that when we have an idea, most people go and, hey mom, what do you think about this? Hey dad, what do you think about this? Hey Billy, what do you think about this? And those are the first people who are going to knock them down.
They're going to just give you the thumbs down right
Why?
away.
Because they have given up on their own dreams. So I don't take advice from someone unless I'm willing to trade my life with them. And that's basically a little secret that I live by.
Yeah, never take advice from somebody whose life you don't want.
Yeah.
End of story. I mean, that's brilliant advice. I mean, that is like, that goes across so many things. And then the other thing to take away is that's really impressive. You did it 3 days later?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm blown away. I mean, that's really speed. That's real speed. And to do an event, and the other thing is, it does suck, right? You're waiting there, you're looking, no one's coming through the door. It's like a nightmare, right? Because it's like a big deal. You're probably nervous anyway. Even you're going to speak. It's your first time.
I was shaking.
Of course you're shaking. Of course you are. That's completely normal. But to do that, cutting down. If you have something that you really believe in and you have an idea, people are so afraid of what other people are going to think. It is such a barrier. I see it all the time. Mm-hmm. So it's the most bizarre thing. It's like, even when I said, I'm going to do a podcast talking about these other things, or I'm going to do like this, like the downers of people. It's my colleagues. Oh, what are people going to think if you're talking about this other stuff? You know, I've already had success. Why do I don't care. What are they going to do? They're going to say that that guy's weird, or he's talking like, I don't even know. I'm like trying to think, like, is there anything that people can say that is really going to bother me at this point? You get to a certain age, you're like, man, I wish I had known this when I was 20.
Yeah.
That you don't have to care about, what other people say, but you're always going to have, those downers, and you're absolutely right. It's much more likely for friends and family to be the negative. Oh, that'll never work. That idea sucks. This and that, and they're just projecting. And unfortunately, then when they see you 3 months later, they're going to still say, I told you, it's not working, right? You're not filling rooms. And they're right, but that just then. They're right. They're not thinking like that's your vision, right?
Yeah.
You're like, where am I in 1 year and 2 years? Not where am I in like 6 weeks? You failed. See, I knew
Yeah,
I wasn't
yeah,
even,
yeah.
I haven't even started yet. I have this whole plan, but like for people that have that inspiration, how do we cut down that time between having that idea and something we really believe in? I don't mean like something like, I'm going to try this thing. I mean like when you really, because clearly you wanted to speak, you were passionate. 3 days later, you're doing it, which is amazing. How do people do that? How do they overcome the barriers? Like, what are there like nuggets that you teach people? How do you do it? It's easy. I'm not pretending that I have the answers, because just we'll just do it. We could do the Nike thing. We could do all kinds of things. Don't be afraid. Just go. I mean, I don't know. You tell me.
You have an idea. Don't ask anybody or tell anybody. Sit down, write it down. What's the next step to get you to the first step? That's it. So my idea was, I'm gonna have an event. Okay, so what I'm gonna do? I rented the ballroom. I got my little flyer. I passed it all over. I called my friends. I told them about it. I got people to help me set up the venue, set up the event. I went to Whole Foods. I got some wine and water, and I waited. How difficult is that?
It's actually, I mean, logistically, it's not very difficult. It's just life. It's very, very simple.
Everything is simple. People like to make things complicated.
And you put Frankenstein away for all that?
Exactly.
That was yet to do. So maybe that's the answer. Maybe the answer is like put Frankenstein away.
Yeah.
What I did, it's just a little bit different. And I agree. Trying to explain your dreams and your stuff. Yes, do it to people that you feel are going to be mentors, or at least, people that are going in that direction, but trying to tell people that don't have big dreams or big ideals, or are used to doing are used to doing whatever, is a waste. It's like it's such a waste of time, but it also makes you feel bad, and you're upset at the people. Like if you ask a parent or you ask your sister or whatever it is, and you say, hey, I'm doing this thing, and they're like, that sounds dumb.
So who
now
you're
mad.
So who
right?
you share things like that with?
Yeah.
I want you to find 5 friends that are up to great things.
Yep. Your circle.
5 people that are up to great things, not the people that are stagnant, not the ones that are waiting for happy hour every day or for the weekend to party, right? No. Who in your circle are doing amazing things? I'll give you an example. So in my circle, right, one of my best friends, Sandy Glant, she's up to big things, right? Jessica Cristobal, up to big things. Marilyn, up to big things. Amanda, up to big things. If I need, hey, what do you think about this? Those are the women that I actually reach out to. Hey, babe, what do you think about this? Oh, you know what? This sounds like a good idea. Maybe, and they'll give me other ideas to implement into what I already told them. Not, oh, maybe that's not going to work. No, they're going to add to my fuel. And that's it. That's why it's important to look for the right circle. And how did I start that? I went by myself. I went to an event. After I hit rock bottom for 2 years, I went through a divorce, and I was devastated, right? I was partying like a rock star. I was, trying drugs that I never tried before because I was trying to heal my pain. And one day I woke up, I remember I was so hungover, and I looked in the ceiling, and I was like, gosh. And then I was like, let me get up. I still had my shoes on. My makeup was all running, everything. I go to the bathroom, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I said this out loud. I said, Melitsa, are you proud of the woman you've become? That was literally, and I was just like, no. Okay, so what are you going to do about it? I want to change my life. And I'm a true believer that if you're really seeking for answers, God will tell you because he lives within you, but your soul can't lie to you. So go to the mirror and be like, what do you think about this? God will answer for you because he lives within us. He's outside of us, but also lives within us. And I'm a true believer in that. And so then it wasn't that day or the next day I saw an ad that said, reignite your finances, your life, your future, free ticket. And I was like, free ticket. So I hit up a girlfriend of mine, Alexi Panos, and I was like, hey, babe, have you ever heard of this guy, T. Harv Eker, The Millionaire Mind? And she was like, no. But if there's one positive thing that you get out of this event, it's a win situation. I booked my flight, I booked my hotel room, and that event changed my life, and it trickled into me becoming part of CEO Space International, part of Landmark, you know, part of like all these other organizations helping people. And it changed me. Why? Because I decided to say yes that one time and I went for it.
Say yes. I mean, I love that. And I love your accountability mirror story. And I think that, you know, a lot of these people say, speaking of, you know, like just motivational people and things like that. And again, it's just like an aggregate. Because a lot of times, like I'll just quote stuff that people say. I don't even know who said it anymore, right? Because it all blends, right? You go to all these events and people are saying stuff. It's all one thing. It's like, we're like afraid to just go in a quiet room and just sit there, because if you go there and sit there and let God come in, and not everyone, and again, whoever's God it is, I'm turning into Dave Meltzer because I'm around him all the time. So it's like, you're God, or whatever you source, whatever you say. But if you let it come in, you will get answers. You will get in, but people are not quiet, because I'm sure that when you were doing through a bad time, you didn't want a quiet period, right? You were just numbing yourself with whatever, you know, like trying new drugs or whatever, you know, you were doing. You're just numbing yourself through that whole thing because you don't want to think about it. So you're with yourself, because we can never get out of it, but you're not with yourself because you're not having those conversations until you know, finally had that conversation in the accountability mirror. And boy, you know, you certainly, you know, turned it around. You know, I have some quotes, and sometimes I just like to, like some of the quotes that you've said before, and we can kind of, you know, talk about it. And I feel like you've already, you know, answered that. It's funny because sometimes I read people's quotes back to them. I was like, man, you already talked that game. And we've only been doing this for a little bit, but things don't happen to you; they happen for you. Obviously, that's something I like. Personal development became my religion because the world's religions failed me. Tell me about that. That's an amazing quote. That's like very powerful. Talk about it.
Wow. So, like I said before, I grew up in the foster care system, and I grew up in a home where they were Seventh-day Adventist. What you saw on the outside wasn't what was happening in the inside. What you saw on the outside was this amazing family, and in the inside, I felt like I was getting mentally abused. And I'll take full responsibility for me feeling that way. Okay, so then that's that, right? And then, you know, for example, my mother, who's a Seventh-day Adventist, my foster mom, she's the one that told me, I can't love you the way I love my kids because I didn't have you.
Insane.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you're supposed to be in church. You read the Bible every day. You get on your knees every single day, and you have the audacity to tell me this, right? My mother, my biological mom, you know, she's a Pentecostal. She's a Pentecostal minister now. Great woman, but again, these religions, you know, I have never seen people that judge more than people who are religious.
I grew up Catholic. I get you.
You know what I mean?
They pray.
So,
you do the prayer.
Yeah.
You do the prayer on Sunday, and then you go out and you're a racist.
Yeah.
Or you're a horrible parent, or whatever it is. It's just it's nonsense.
You know what I mean?
Anyway.
So I'm like, God is a God of love. God is a God of abundance. You know,
tremendous abundance, infinite abundance.
And you have
we can tap into it.
Huh?
And we can tap into it, and you did.
And then you have these families that I grew up with, that I saw living in a scarcity mindset and more fear than I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
That contradicts everything that they preach, everything that they pray about, everything that they were telling me.
Hypocrisy times a million.
It's insane. And they might watch this and I really don't care, right? But this is my truth. You know, it's my truth. And that's the reason why I'm like, no, I'm not a religious person. I'm a Christian. I believe in the highest power. I believe that, you know, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God. You know, I believe that Jesus Christ is my savior. You know, but I don't go to church. I'm not like, you know, I have my relationship with God and I'm happy and I'm proud of it. You know, and for me, that's why, no, I don't believe in religion. I think it's created. Look at the wars that we have going on right now.
Well, religion in and of itself is like all the rituals and all the things we do. I mean, they're man-made creation. Let's just be. It is what it is now. I went to hardcore Catholic school, like nuns hitting you with that kind of stuff, like crazy stuff. That's not really loving.
No.
The nuns, when I went to school, it's just crazy. They're like. They're like, well, you're going to hell. I'm like, well, that's helpful. What? You're going to hell? Thanks, lady. Like that. What? And I always thought the thing is that stuff never bothered me because I'm like, what
Yeah,
are you saying?
yeah,
Why are you
yeah.
why are you saying that? So I agree with you. I'm not a big organized religious person. I like aspects of it, but when you introduce man-made concepts to God, that doesn't make any sense. We have no understanding. I actually do like a lot of just kind of Christian motivational speakers. I
Yes.
like it because their message is good.
Yes.
What bothers me, and I don't know if this bothers, like it just bothers me when it's like if you're interpreting a scripture and you're just saying, "Hey, use this for your life or to get yourself together, to make your business," great. But when you're speaking as if you know like what God's intentions are for everything, that kind of stuff like bothers me about organized religion. It's like, to be honest with you, we don't know much, right? You open your eyes and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you know. So I'm with you on the organized religion stuff. I mean, more people have died in the name of religion than anything else. For God's sake.
Truth.
Right? Like
Yeah.
think about, like what's happened in the world. Let's go to some, I mean, you say some powerful stuff. I just pulled some of the best. Isn't it funny when people tell you back what, like the stuff that you've said? Sometimes you're like, oh.
I'm like, yeah, that's
Sometimes
pretty
people
good.
are like, well, yeah, it's powerful. But this is great. And this is what we talked about already. I am a foster child of the system, but a CEO of my destiny. That's like a billboard. I mean, if it could fit on a license plate, people should put it on there. Or you should put it on there. Hurt people, but healed people build empires. Amen.
Wow.
Like all I say is amen. See, isn't it? You're blowing.
I don't even remember saying that.
How cool is that to blow yourself away? Yeah, you can just Google this stuff. I just
my
like
God.
yeah, but you just say, if you just think about it, like. Think about any podcast you're on. Do you know how many things you say in a podcast? Like
I'm gonna need that copy from you.
You say all kinds of. You're like, send me whatever is I said. Do you watch yourself?
No,
Like, do you
I
watch
don't
your
like
talks?
it.
I don't like it either.
I'm like, when I see the videos from like that my team creates, I'm like, ooh, fast forward it. And I know I should watch it, but I already know I'm a great speaker. I don't have to watch
That's the
myself.
thing.
I don't have to watch myself to know I'm speaking. But then I'll be like, oh, this could have been said about
I
that.
mean,
And
it's such a weird thing. I'm like, I was like, why did I sound so stupid? Yet, like, you'll get great, great feedback. People are like, oh, that was amazing. I was
Yeah.
moved. And then I watch it. I'm like, okay, that's kind of, but it's ourselves. So we hold ourselves like to, a ridiculously,
high standard.
higher standard. Let me see. Let me hit one more. You have so many other, I like this. You're just so many. It's just like, look at yourself in the mirror. Your soul can't lie to your eyes. Mm-hmm. That's just what you said.
Yeah.
It's the accountability mirror. Goggins talks about that all the time. The accountability mirror. You have to go back to the accountability mirror. And I don't know about you. I mean, you see people in a very different capacity than I do. I mean, you talk to people and stuff like that. I see people mostly as, obviously I'm doing a lot of networking. I'm out here doing things, but as patients, man, the accountability level, I'm going to give the American public on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give them a 2 for being accountable for themselves. They do. I'm like,
they don't follow your instructions.
no, but I'm like, how are you going to take care of anybody if you do not take care of yourself? They're not accountable. And then they start with the excuses. And now I'm going to use the Frankenstein thing because I steal stuff from all my guests. That's why I actually do this. So I can steal all these brilliant. I'm serious. I'm like, what is with the excuses? They say, hey, why don't we start by taking walks and going to the gym? I don't have time. And I'm like, would you like me to tell you what I've done this week? I'm like, well, I've got 21 surgeries. I'm giving a talk. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And guess what? I've worked out 6 days. And you don't have time. And they're like, well, not every. I'm like, no, just stop. Just stop. You keep doing it until they stop. I won't stop until they stop. Until they say, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
I'm going to shut up. I'm like, is the stuff coming out of your mouth? Like, do you even hear yourself? If we wrote down the thoughts, Frankenstein's thoughts coming out of our mouth, we'd probably look at it and be like,
Embarrassed.
What? It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, why are you saying that? And I feel like one of the greatest people, like really being like athletes, if you want to talk athletes, like Kobe Bryant. Like he would talk about that, all the greats talk about this stuff, but he would talk about the voice in his head. You're always like, oh, my knee is sore, my ankle's sore, I'm going to stop. He's like, no, I have a contract with myself and I'm not going to break it. And I think that people, even when they decide to, they break the contract with themselves.
You know,
right?
it's funny you mentioned
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant because on those days where I'm talking to my itty shitty bitty committee, right? I'm like, whoa, would Michael Jordan be saying this?
Yes.
Would Kobe be saying this? No, they just freaking go. Don't make excuses. Don't. And if I can't make it to an event, or let's say I'm exhausted, then I have like the FOMO and I'm like, would Michael or Kobe be going to this event right now? No, because they're focused on making that next shot. They're focused on practicing right now. They're focused on this, and that. So I've gotten so much better at saying no to things.
No, and they have the same exact voices you have in their head.
Yeah.
People think that they think like, oh, Michael Phelps, he never like not wanted to like go and practice.
He had to practice every single
He
day
practiced every
for
day.
4 years.
Yeah, and you think that he didn't want to like not like just sit around and play video games or do whatever. He was a young guy at the
Yeah.
time. He didn't want to do that. I certainly don't want to die. Like I never did anything like that. Like when I was at that age, we all have the voices. It's how you can control them. And again, you have to make things, non-negotiables. I think like one of the best sayings, out there, I think, is when you make your shoulds become your must. Like, oh, I should work out. This is a
must
Tony
work
Robbins,
out.
right? I must. If it's must, like I must work out. Like there's a lot of things that I want to do on a daily basis, and I preach this stuff. Like I want to do like biohacking every day, and I want to do stuff like that. And I try to do most of it every day. But the one thing for me that's non-negotiable is like 6 days a week, I'm in the gym. It's non-negotiable. No sleep, doesn't matter. Company party that goes too late, it doesn't matter. 4:30 a.m., 5 o'clock, I'm in the gym. It doesn't, I have the flu. Don't get mad at me. I'm not trying to infect people. I'll wear a mask. Just relax. There's always the troll. Yeah, I'm a doctor. You get trolled about stupid stuff. You saw some stuff that you get extra trolling when you're a doctor. When you say anything, they're like, "Oh, the doctor that infects everybody."
For real,
But anyway, being able, like to control, that stuff and just say it's a must. And that's it. I'm not doing it. Like, think about it. Like, I'm sure you have stuff that's a must. You just do it. It's it. It's done. Like, like rep or not missing, talks or not missing events if you're going to go there and it's an opportunity. And I think that people, like the opportunity, like what people miss out on if you didn't go to that event because you had some excuse.
Exactly.
Oh, my stomach doesn't feel right. I had a burrito. I can't, man. People, the excuses are so dumb.
It is. I agree.
The stuff that, that is in our
agree.
mind. But it could be the difference between living a great life and being a disaster.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that it's just these little things. I want to touch on something, and then I want to get into like the talks. I'm really fascinated by this whole world of public speaking and what you do because it's like an amazing stuff. God, you mentioned God, several times, and with the capacity. I do a lot of the wellness shows now. I'm doing the business show, so we just talk about different topics. It's different because when you talk about wellness, a lot of times like God won't come. Just because even people could be super religious. What's interesting? The more I'm around really successful people and now starting to interview people as I'm kind of getting further along in the game and just getting like, bigger and bigger people that I'm around is I'm not finding many people that are non-believers. Like they're not out there. And if they don't believe in a God, like a specific God of a religion, right? Like a Judeo-Christian God. But whatever, if they're not, it's not specific. Some people believe in the Oprah, the source, or this all-powerful whatever they call it. Everyone has different names. There's thousands of names for this concept. It's interesting. The more you get around all these people, there is a deep level of spirituality that really helps people to. Do you see that now? Because you're around like very prominent people. Like I don't know many of them that don't have some belief in a higher, even a higher power. Even Einstein, who was atheist, was like, "Oops, I was wrong." Like people figure this stuff out. Why is that?
100%.
Why is that?
I feel like we're being called as leaders to really preach about God and what He's done in our lives. And since more leaders are opening up about it, that's why other leaders are following. I'm not ashamed to talk about it. And I don't call it the universe or whatever. I know there's a God. I have lived through things in my life that only God could have saved me. So I'm always going to talk about it like God. And yes, He's putting this energy to true leaders to start talking about it. Look at Look at even our nation and our country now. We're starting to, pray before the president gets on stage. All our other leaders are talking about God, and saving us from what would have been a huge disaster, So it's just I'm feeling called to talk about it. And every time I talk about it on stage, people come up to me, thank you for talking about God. Thank you for praying, or thank you for this, so.
Yeah, I think we had gone in a direction where people didn't want to talk about and openly share a lot of their religious beliefs for fear. And again, like, if you think about it, like even like me at this age, I look back and I'm actually annoyed at my younger self for just living in fear, for not speaking out on things that I truly believed in. Now, people that are watching this that know me from when I was like, they were like, "You spoke out plenty." I was like, "No, I didn't. I didn't speak out plenty." But you just feel stuff, and I love that, and as an openness. And now the more I go to these events and connecting. And some of these people, like, they're like billionaires. Like, this isn't like, and they're just openly like just talking about God. They're like, I would be nothing without God, and this and that. And I'm a huge fan of like Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher.
Yeah.
I've gone to a lot of his events, and that inspired. And actually, Eric Thomas is one of the biggest reasons. At some point, I decided I want to kind of follow in these footsteps and become a speaker, myself. And it's not easy. You have to. It's a process, but he speaks openly. He's so religious. I mean, it's all about God and the calling and all this stuff. And I think it's amazing that people are able to talk about this openly. And it's funny because people want to talk about it. And I don't know why it's suppressed. I don't know why there's so much like anti-God stuff out there. No one's telling people that they have to do it. It's just like you just do, like you just do whatever you want. But I think without a spiritual anchor, it's difficult. Life is so damn hard. And so many like fucked up things happen to us.
Yeah.
It sucks. We're all, in dark places. And I think by talking about
100%.
God more, you open up more. Because if you're the center of the universe, you just want to keep, what are people going to say? But if you're just like, I'm just going to give myself over to God, who cares what people, like, it doesn't matter. And it helps to find strength. And then there's that presence there when no one's there. When you're by yourself, right? The whole footsteps thing, and who was, like
100%.
that kind of stuff. So, thanks for doing that. And I think it does take some courage to do it.
For me, prayer is powerful.
Very.
It gives you peace. It gives you peace of mind. When I was speaking at the Aspire stage a couple weeks ago, I started my talk with, God doesn't give you a vision that you can't execute. And I'm a true believer in that. When you have an idea, pray about it and say to God, continue opening the right doors for me so I know it's you. And that's what's happened with me with Epic Talks. I'm not taking credit for what I have. God is using me as a vessel of hope so I can help other people. That's it. And if he didn't trust me, he wouldn't have given me this vision. And my mission is to help other leaders to get to the next level and introduce them to the right people so we can collectively continue talking about God together and helping other people in the process.
Yeah, and eventually, one becomes two becomes four,
It becomes
and
a domino
on and on.
effect.
It's unbelievable. And now I'm watching it. I'm watching people like you and how connected you are to other people. And it's like this, people just think, like, a lot of people don't want to go to these business things because they think everyone's in a room and it's like all like specific. No, it's like a lot of love and just uplifting and sharing stories and understanding that, like we're all in this together. It is just such a fascinating
100%.
community. Such an incredibly fascinating community. When it comes to Epic Talks, before we wrap, we got to just absolutely talk about like Epic Talks and what you're doing. So what's the plan? So what do people learn, first of all, at Epic Talks? Because like this is like really important. Like, what do they learn? And I love what you're doing because you're just trying to teach people how to live, essentially. But what do they learn? And then where do you see the future of Epic Talks as you continue, to grow this?
So Epic Talks happens the last Wednesday of every single month except for November and December because of the holidays. And what they learn, every single month we have different topics. This last one on Wednesday was about taxes. We had billionaire Julio Gonzalez, telling us how we can take our IRS money and put it into appreciation assets instead of us, paying it to the government. We have AI ones. We have marketing. This next one is called Epic Talks Presents Real Estate Investing with Other People's Money, and how to take your tax money and put it into real estate.
Love it.
You know, the following one is going to be Speak and Get Paid. One of our signature programs is called Speak and Get Paid. So I take you through a workshop and teach you how to speak on stages and get paid for your expertise.
It's great.
Yes. Then what else? So many amazing topics. It's topics that are going to help entrepreneurs, business professionals, doctors, lawyers. You know, hey, I can implement this into my business. Let's do this like AI automation for this company. Let's get some VAs here. Let's get some tax information here. Let's get some social media marketing, hire this agency to help us with our social media, you know? So it's kind of like a one-stop shop for entrepreneurs.
No, I think it's great. And I think that people have to understand that there's help out there. You got to just seek, you know, the help. I always talk about, like, I'm such a, you know, as a surgeon, I was such a lone wolf. Like, I had my mentors, but outside of that, I got this. I'm okay. So even if you're in a bad place, I don't need anyone. I'm fine. I'll just read some self-help books. I'm good. I don't want stuff. Oh my God, I could have saved myself so much heartache and pain just in my life by just asking. Just ask. And back to the God thing, you know, it's like one of my, you know, like my favorite things is like, you know, he doesn't give you what you want. He gives you what you need. And that's always got me through. I mean, I remember a time I was in a really bad place, like maybe like 10 years ago. Stuff was going on with my practice. It was a disaster, and you know, like I just needed a lot of inspiration. So whatever, I was like, I'm not put in this position right now to let this whole thing, you know, fall apart and fail. And then got a bunch of inspiration, and then just took it to a whole nother level, and just blew the thing, and it just like exploded after that. So that worst thing that ever happened in our practice was the best thing. Because again, it doesn't give you what you want. That's not what I wanted, for sure. But it certainly is what I needed, because that shook me out of a stupor. Because otherwise I would have just been like, just plodding along, whatever. But we had to, like, you know, like kind of reinvent,
pivot,
and pivot. And that's what you learn. Like, you just go to these workshops. You go one workshop. Next thing you know, you're pivoting, and your whole life can change. Like it changed for you when you went to that one thing. By the way, that book, I listened to that on audiobook like 10 times. The Millionaire Mindset.
Okay. Yep.
That's timeless. That's a classic book. Everybody should still listen to that book to this day. You know, right? I think one story in there was like that garbage man that like was like worth like $1 million just from or the bus driver. I don't remember. I haven't listened to it for a long time. Last time I listened to it was like on a plane, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. But there's so much help out here.
Have you ever heard or read the book Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill? Have you heard it on Audible?
I read it. Is it better on Audible? Okay, all right.
Because the devil's voice is in a very dark voice, and then you have Napoleon Hill interviewing the devil. It's so good.
Oh, I read that book.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. Like Audible is
I'm gonna do it on Audible. Hopefully I don't have like nightmares. I don't want to get nightmares about the devil's voice and stuff.
It won't. I promise you.
I'm not a big devil fan. We'll just put it that way.
No, I'm telling you. Yeah. You're gonna understand what I'm saying.
Didn't that like come out like way after he was dead or something like that? I don't remember if that's the one. I know that one of the Napoleon Hill ones, he wasn't even alive, and like something, you know, was. I know that, you know, Meltzer is the chairman of the Napoleon Hill Institute. So
gotcha.
It just interesting stuff. So if people want to find you, and obviously I have to have you back, because like, you know, these podcasts, I don't, you know, it's hard to know how long they go. I just love talking to people. I mean, I could talk to you for 5 hours, you know, in a row, you know, if we had the time. But we should definitely do a part 2 on this. We're going to be down in Miami, hopefully, in the next couple of months.
Epic Talks event. It's the last Wednesday of the month. So,
yeah, maybe we can wrap it all up into one of those.
That would be great.
Yeah, I would love to. You know, I'd love to do that, just so we don't always have to run into each other at Aspire or something like that. Are you going to Houston, by the way?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, it should be good. That's how I'm like, I don't know. It's just there's so many stuff.
Yeah, but you're speaking, so.
Yeah, and well, now that, you know, more that things are coming, now I have to be like, oh, I don't know if I can do it, because I am a surgeon and I have a practice. And so at some point, at some point, I was telling Kelly, because now people are like, oh, you want to do this with us? You want to do? I'm like, at some point, I actually have to do my day job before I can transition and just be doing these things and speaking and trying to help the world.
Yeah.
You know, and I know you feel like this, the nice thing about like speaking or doing media or doing stuff as a surgeon, as a doctor or whatever, doing now integrative health and all this other stuff, I can only help the people that walk through my door. When you do these other things, you can eventually help millions if your voice becomes powerful enough. But you don't have to help millions. You can help 2 people.
Yeah.
And it's satisfying. So where can people find you if they want to learn more about your story? Come to Epic Talks or whatever you want to tell them.
Definitely epictalksmiami.com. Come and join us for an event. I'll give you a special coupon code EPIC20 for a little discount there as a little gift. And Melitsa Waage on Instagram, Melitsa Waage, and also at Instagram, Epic Talks Miami. So that's where you can find me.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be wanting to find you and learn more. And you guys should definitely go to Epic Talks. These events are, they're just amazing.
Thank you.
The people that don't get around these rooms,
You're
they do not know. They totally are missing out.
Think of Epic Talks like you just won a lotto ticket. Period.
That's it.
That's it.
You're going there. You're getting advice from people who have made it. What are you doing?
Yes.
Why get off your ass and go in there and go do it?
And even if
Like,
you've made it, still
Come on,
show
man.
up because you're gonna meet somebody there that you're gonna connect with. That you're gonna be like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I made it.
Or maybe
tonight.
you'll end up being a mentor if
Yeah.
you've made it. Then you're mentoring people, or you're connecting, or you're starting new businesses by just
Exactly.
going there and just talking to people. So anyway, this was an amazing episode of Business at the Speed of Light. Thanks, Melitsa, for being on the program. I look forward to it, and I will definitely be coming to Epic Talks real soon.
Let's go.
All right,
Thank
see you
for
guys
having me.
next time.